Right there, I'll start here then.
Good morning. It is July 28th, 2020. We will call the Wright County Board of Commissioners meeting to order. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Thank you, everyone in attendance, and also we're happy to have our Commissioner Charlie Burrell back with us at the DS. So
I said
good.
no hugs, though.
No hugs.
No hugs, no even elbow greetings. So anyway, and also those of us joining us remotely on Teams. We have a number of people, and also those watching on our YouTube. So the first item is to dispense with the reading of the minutes, and anyone have anything they'd need correcting on last week's minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from July 21st.
All right.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Lyden, seconded by Commissioner Potter. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Isn't that nice? We don't have to do a roll call vote, yes. Motion passes unanimously. The agenda for today. I haven't heard of any, all
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve today's agenda as presented.
I'll second that.
right. Motion made by Commissioner Vetch, seconded by Commissioner Burrell. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Consent agenda. Is there anything that you would like to remove for further discussion?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
All right.
I'll second.
Motion made by Commissioner Potter, seconded by Commissioner Delyden. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. The timed agenda, and I know Mr. Bob Keeble isn't here, but we have Heather Lemieux from the Auditor Treasurer's Office. Welcome, Heather.
Good morning, Madam Chairman and Commissioners. Today I'm here to request approval on the Sandy Shores at Sugar Lake plat.
All right. Does anyone have any questions on that? Or?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the Sandy Shores at Sugar Lake, Corinna Township.
All right. Motion made by Commissioner Vetch, seconded by Commissioner Burrell. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. All right. Motion passes. It's approved. Thank you, Heather.
Flats for roll call vote.
I don't believe they have to be.
It's not a,
I know it doesn't say that, but I always thought they were, but I might think that's.
Resolutions call for.
Yeah, I always thought they were by resolution, but
yeah.
can't remember.
No, I think there are certain transactions that are by resolution, but just approving this plat does not appear in resolution form. So. All right. Well, moving right along, we have our committee minutes, and the first committee minutes we have is the Committee of the Whole for Strategic Planning. And Mark? Commissioner Vetch, sorry about that.
So the county board, along with a variety of other staff, met on July 21st as a committee of the whole to discuss kind of some of the findings and to reacquaint ourselves with the discussions that we had with the various department heads over the past couple of months. In those discussions, we kind of are moving to the next phase of trying to be visionaries as to what we need within the county to become, I guess I'm going to use the word harmonious, efficient, and offer great oversight countywide to remove the silo effects. Some of the discussion pieces that we came to find out is that we do need to grow our needs in finance and IT. We also had discussions about over the next 3, 5, and 10 years how these things could be accomplished in the finance world and within the technology world. So whether trying to create ways to not have so much farmed out technology services so that they can be more robust for the departments countywide. So we tasked the administration with drafting out some job descriptions. Another one was we are lacking a versatile player when things like the CARES Act comes in, or we want to do index mandated services, or to deal with other advisory committees that we have. When we had the issue with the Wright County Community Action, the meals, and having somebody to investigate into that, or into the Central Mississippi Regional Planning Partnership, and to facilitate that as well. So the discussion then is, or the recommendation was to draft a job description for a proposed project administrator and a finance director that at some point in the future we could implement, but at least we'd have an idea of what the costs are associated with those positions. So when or if we would like to do that, it would be quantifiable. Then also we tasked the administration with developing an organizational chart for the next 3, 5, and 10 years to decide what these future positions would look like, and when and if we would need to do them, how it would look as we grow and try to accomplish more efficiencies within the county. With that, Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the minutes and the recommendations.
All right, motion made by
I'll second
Commissioner
it.
Vetch, seconded by Commissioner Delyden. Is there any discussion on this?
Madam Chair.
Yes,
ju-
Commissioner
Just
Burrell.
that we're not approving that position right now, we're just doing the research into it, because I know I did kind of tend to speak against it at the committee of the whole, so.
That's correct.
I'll support the recommendation for now.
All right. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. And the committee of the whole on July 22nd. And Mike, if you'd take that, please. Commissioner Potter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The committee of the whole met on July 22nd, and this had to do with the backup dispatch center, the update from True North Consulting Group. And as we were going through the thing, we're a backup center, the one we have in the main sheriff's office, and then a backup out by the training center. And it was time to equip it, and everything was going on. We turned to the budget with the option pages, and this is the part that we didn't really discuss with the second or 2 or 3 year plan we were going through, because basically we're $660,000 for this, and all but $102,000 are covered in 911 funds, but there was some question of whether we want to deplete that or not, so it'll be discussed later on this day. The other thing is it had to do with the backup center has to have 4 stations there, match what's out at the sheriff's department, so if somebody's got to go from one to what, they don't have to reorientate themselves what's going on. It also has the equipment for like the 4 chairs. The investments are a little heavy, but it's required. We know a couple years ago we did a 911 thing update for the next gen. We need to update some areas here. And as our population keeps growing, this is going to be needed. I know that their calls have been up in 911, and they're only going to go up higher with more population. We discussed continuing regarding running redundant fiber routes, the towers in there, and after the future discussion how we deal with that. It'll still have the microwave tower and some redundancy. There'll be the copper line, the hardwire telephone. You'll have the fiber, and you'll have the microwave, which is that armor system. A lot of discussion on what to do and how to do this, and we're just going to move forward with our 911. We need to do this, and the recommendation coming out was to fund the cost of the backup dispatch center with turnback dollars, and it will figure out the whole nuts and bolts of that and see. There was also discussion if that could be CARES Act money, don't know. Consultant will help us if that's the case going on, but with that, Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes and the recommendation.
All right, motion made by Commissioner Potter. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Vetch. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Minutes and recommendation are approved. The Personnel Employee Relations Committee, Commissioner Delyden.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Personnel Committee met on last Wednesday, July 22nd. Everybody was present that was supposed to be. The discussion was regarding an IT budgetary specialist position. There was Matthew Fomby, our IT director, had presented a kind of a job description regarding what their needs were in the IT department. Currently an OT2 position, but they're kind of working, doing a little bit more than what their classification really calls for. So the recommendation was to approve the reassign the office technician to an accounting technician position. The decision was, instead of making a special new position, to utilize a current one that the county already has. We also discussed another new position of electronic contract management solutions architect. And this is because we've been having issues trying to hire on-base administrator position and SharePoint administrator position. And so we're trying to come up with a hybrid position that hopefully this will solve some of our issues, take care of the majority of our needs, and still utilize contractors when we absolutely have to, instead of hiring a contractor all the time for doing some of our on-base stuff. So hopefully this will move the IT direction forward and also save the county money in the long run. And with that, the recommendations for that were to approve the creation of the ECM business architect position, eliminate the on-base administrator position in the IT department. With that, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes and the recommendations.
All right.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Deloide and seconded by Commissioner Potter. Is there any discussion on this?
Madam Chair, I will just say I'm glad to see that we're moving forward, because that on-base position has sat vacant way too long, and I
Yeah.
guess we need to find some way to leverage that open position and get some work done, and I think this is a good hybrid option to get that accomplished, so.
Yeah, I appreciate.
Thank you,
yeah.
Mr. Fomby and the Personnel Committee for making the move.
Yeah, I appreciate Mr. Fomby coming forward with these recommendations, because they definitely make sense and we need to get them filled and taken care of.
Yep, thinking outside the box.
Yep. So, any more discussion?
Or in his case, it's thinking outside the submarine.
All right, if there's no more discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. The minutes and the recommendation are approved. Oh, wow. So we're up to the CARES Act funding. Administrator Kelly.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I added this item back on the agenda again this week. As you know, this continues to develop, and we had a few things that we were going to follow up on from last week. The first of those being we had looked at proposals from 3 different vendors to assist us with the administration of this, I'll call it a project. Did have the opportunity to have a follow-up meeting with Clifton Larson Allen, who was kind of our targeted firm that we were looking at engaging. I think that meeting went well, and I believe my assessment was that they'd make good use of assisting us here. So I guess I would recommend that we move forward with a letter engagement with Clifton Larson Allen to assist us in the CARES Act.
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
I concur with Administrator Kelly being, as well as yourself, and as part of that interview. They have very good methodology. They have a very good grasp on the rules of the game for these funds. So, and they've definitely, from the auditing standpoint, have made sure that they would be very segregated, so we would have no conflicts there. So I'm very comfortable moving forward with Clifton Larson Allen.
Yeah, I was, impressed with their resume, if you want to put it that way, or, their ability to really get in and help us. And, I mean, just some things, questions that they raised that I sort of didn't think about that we could put in the application process. And so I think, I agree that they'd be a good fit.
And with that, Madam Chair, I'm going to make a motion that we move forward with a contract with Clifton Larson Allen for the aiding with the CARES Act funding and the vetting out process, or however you want to say it, as a contractor to administer CARES Act funds.
I'll second.
Okay.
Motion made by Commissioner Vesh, seconded by Commissioner Delyden, almost Potter too. Is there any discussion on that?
Madam Chair, yes.
Yeah.
I missed the amount. Did they have a?
It's an hourly amount. It's
Yeah.
an hourly, and the CARES Act funds can be used to pay for it, for the
Yeah.
contract on it. It's hard to say. I looked at it we could be using them on average. I'm thinking probably 6 to 12 hours a week, now through December 15th. If you're more on the 12 hours a week, you're looking at probably a cost of around $60,000, $65,000 if you're at 12 hours a week. If you're more at the 6 hours, it's going to be, half that. So it's hard to say where we're at, but that brings me to the next key point is that the townships, there's some interest from them, and I think it's important that we reach out to them and offer the ability for them to utilize our contract, because any funds that they don't use are going to be coming in this direction.
Right.
As well as a number of the cities are interested as well, I think, in using the same contractor. And once again, their funds that aren't utilized are coming this direction, and I know a lot of the cities are trying to figure out what they can and can't do. So there's no reason for them to be and we'd also have better communications, because we need to make sure that we're avoiding having double disbursements to any entities. So if we have CLA working with all the cities and townships as well as with us, it'll be able to make sure that we have all of our ducks in a row.
Why don't, I think we should vote on this and then maybe get into more of a discussion about how to reach out to the cities and townships. And all right, is there any more discussion on the motion to approve Clifton Larson Allen? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carried. Yeah, so Commissioner Vetch, to continue that discussion, I think that we should figure out a format, or you're essentially looking, Administrator Kelly, at drafting a letter to the townships, but also the cities, so we can include them. I mean, they don't know exactly, how to do it. I sent the whole packet of information to a township that requested it, and he said, I read all 73 pages, and it's not real clear. So I said, well, we were looking at including, the townships, inviting them so we could kind of help them through the process, and we're hiring a contractor, so I think that is assuring to them, because it's new to all of us, and certainly we as a county have a lot of staff that can help assist with what we need to do as we implement this. But Administrator Kelly, you have
Or do you have a comment, Derek?
Just talking with some of the other counties that have had some really good luck with it, is they've done kind of a virtual town hall meeting with their townships, and they did it, most of them doing them around like a 5 o'clock hour, and once they have their contractor, and then basically kind of getting the flavor of what things they do and don't want to do, because ultimately they have the ability to do economic development, but a lot of them are deferring to their counties to do that for them. So then it's kind of more about informing them as to what information we need from them, so that we would know what amounts they're going to be turning back, and kind of giving them with the contractor at this town hall meeting, the information that they need in terms of reimbursable costs from PPE expenses and things of that nature, and give basically more of a question and answer session. That's where I would recommend as a board that we set up this in-person / virtual meeting once we have CLA on board, and once we have kind of all of our applications solidified, so we can kind of talk them through.
Madam Chair.
yes, Commissioner Potter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just the public needs to know, we had 3 different firms we were picking from. All 3 were good. They all brought things to the table, but the comfort level with Clifton Larson Allen was there. And I do like the fact that we're reaching out and sharing our service with the cities and townships to help them navigate, because that's all it is. You need somebody to help you navigate through this. Like I said earlier, you just don't want to have it where you spend the money in good faith and have the Office of Management and Budget come back later and say, oh, by the way, we don't like that. So this way we're having somebody that's double checking to make sure we're playing by the rules of the sandbox. And like I say, I hope the cities and the townships actually take advantage of this to lean on us a little bit to help guide through this, because I think it's beneficial to all of us, and see where it goes from here.
So from a practical standpoint, because the township I was talking to asked if I'd be at their next meeting, and I wasn't sure where we'd be at, as far as having this virtual / in-person meeting. If people are, maybe people aren't comfortable doing a virtual, and so maybe they would rather be here in person. I don't know how we sort of stage that as far as numbers, but, any ideas?
I guess my idea is, I think we had pretty good success when we met with the school districts.
Yes.
We used leveraged teams. We certainly had some people here and social distance them. We didn't have I think we had maybe, 4 people that attended in person. So that might be the key as part of the initial communication, to have people communicate if they're attending in person or virtually, as we do have a fair amount of township officials, make sure we're able to
Right.
meet the staff. So,
Yeah, some people just aren't, comfortable doing the virtual thing.
correct.
They're not really set up necessarily, but they, so I think if we could get the numbers of who would be in attendance personally and who would be able to do, we'd encourage virtual, essentially, just for, if they're able to. It's not ideal, but it certainly works well. I think it certainly worked well with the administrators from the schools, because, when they were speaking, they came up on screen, and so it worked well that way, but.
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
I guess from the standpoint, I'm looking to see if we could get a letter out to them either later this week and then try to do this like somewhere around August 12th or 13th, just because I know the townships mostly meet on Mondays and Tuesdays, so if we went for a Wednesday or a Thursday, just because most of them would only be able to be involved in an evening per se setting, I'd say we have to go at least 4:30 or later.
Yeah.
I'm kind of say
Maybe 5 o'clock,
5
just
o'clock, I
because
think is.
I think,
Reach out, say 5 or 6, give them, the
Yep.
township officers, the option, because maybe 6 is a better time for them. 5 or 6, just we want to make it accommodate them, because I'd still also like to do, if some of them have further questions, they can do a follow-up or something, because, Madam Chair, sometimes with the virtual, you feel like you can't chime in, because some people take over that, and they might have more questions later, and I just want to make sure that they get their questions answered. If they can't get them there, they actually have a second way to come back and ask the questions, because this is confusing for all of us, and I'm sure they're in the same boat.
I think that maybe we could look at Wednesday, the 12th. Is that too soon to pull things together?
And Madam Chair, just because if there's things that we would want to make recommendations based on feedback from them, I'd rather have it scheduled as a committee of the whole so that it has the ability versus it just being, because odds are we'll all be there and there
Right.
may be discussion. I'd rather
Right.
make it, so,
It would be,
it's cleaner
Yeah.
in that sense.
right, yes, it would be committee of the whole,
Okay.
Madam Chair?
yes.
Yeah, time is of the essence, too.
It is.
We need to get this
Right.
going as
Right,
soon as possible.
and that's what I've kind of told them too, that we want to get on this as quickly as we can, we just need to coordinate it, so.
I guess, Madam Chair, also if we can have CLA present on that one, that would be great, whether
That would be-
virtually
Absolutely.
or whatever.
Yeah,
but-
they'll probably have to do virtual, and that worked fine.
But that's fine, yep.
Um,
Madam Chair, I'm gonna make a motion that we set a committee to hold on, do you want to just leave it open-ended, or you want to come back and solidify next week? once
Why don't
you-
we set a date, and if the date does not work for Clifton, I'll come back next week and we'll revise. I just think it'd be good if we can land a date right now, give people as much advance notice as possible.
Yep,
All right, Tim, before I pull that motion back, do you guys have a preference on 12th or 13th before I make a motion?
I like the 12th better.
Fine by me?
12th works good. It matches in with their schedule better.
All right, then I'm just gonna make a motion to set a committee of the whole on August 12th, and I'm gonna say at 5:30, and we can modify the time. I'll shoot the difference, okay? Yeah.
Second.
All right. Motion made by Commissioner Vetch, seconded by Commissioner Potter to schedule a committee of the whole with the townships and cities,
That are interested.
yeah, that are.
And Madam Chair, I'm
Invite
going
them.
to say the cities, I'm going to do this as the townships.
You just want to do the townships?
Yes, because the
singly?
cities, I think Administrator Kelly's doing really well with his administrator group in being able to
Okay.
accomplish the needs through the cities, and I don't think we have to meet with them, because I think, working with the administrators, you're going to be able to determine what they want to do, so. I don't
Yeah.
wanna-
I've had some casual discussions, and they're in different places, so there may be some appetite, but I think really the townships have the more interest.
Yeah.
My sense right now, but I would like to circle back with the city folks and
And we
talk
could
through where
always
they're at.
bring them in, you know, if they need to come in a meeting like this, we can certainly do that.
It's going to be a virtual meeting.
Hybrid.
Yeah,
A hybrid.
a hybrid, yeah.
And Madam Chair?
Yes.
I know that St. Michael is hiring a consultant to help them navigate,
Okay.
so they don't need that same level.
Yep.
I'm not sure about other cities, but that one, they told me already that they're
Yeah.
hiring a consultant to help them.
Yeah, and, you know, our larger cities like that,
I'm
they,
probably doing it.
yeah, kind of probably more than we can just add to our
Well, they
workload.
want, I think they want a smaller group so they can,
Right,
when you
Yeah.
get too big groups, sometimes you miss things.
yeah, definitely. All right, so 5:30 on August 12th, committee of the whole. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Good.
Madam Chair, on
Yes.
another issue on this, I was looking to get the flavor of or thoughts of Administrator Kelly in scheduling, or solidifying some, maybe, temporary committees to work, to look at these applications and then to start that process and actually, formalize those committees and maybe have them meet in the next week so we can kind of keep this process rolling.
Sure.
Because
Right, yep, that's our next, or one of our first steps.
so I think I don't know if you want to, waiting till next week to schedule them, then we're kind of even further out, so I think it's important that we schedule maybe next Wednesday as like a committee day, and these committees are going to meet from the economic development bucket and from the affiliates bucket, and then I think we also need to have some sort of a bucket for internal expenses for the county. So.
Yeah, I'll just kind of dive in and start talking there. As you mentioned, I think we need to give guidance to each of those things. We've started to draft some applications for the different programs that have kind of been kicked around, but we will need to have guidance from the board on what those things are going to be and look like, what dollar amounts you're comfortable, and targeted entities, what kind of applications you're looking to solicit. So I guess my thought is there's, to me, maybe one meeting that's the full board, and then we break out into the other committees. As we've discussed already, we had kind of tentatively identified for the economic development and for the affiliates group that we talked about, but we hadn't decided about the internal costs as well. So staff have been doing a good job of pulling together the expenses that we've tracked through COVID. Relative to that $7 million we've set aside, we'll have no issues coming up to that dollar amount. It's just where we want to allocate or apply those funds to and some of the mechanics of that I'd like to discuss with the board. So I guess my thought, committee of the whole first, to kind of hit the high level things and then break out maybe that next Wednesday, as Commissioner Vetch suggested, the smaller groups.
So are we in a morning meeting, like 9 o'clock, kind of thing with the whole board and then breaking out?
No, August 4th, on Tuesday after the board meeting as a committee of the whole, and then coming back on the 5th in
Okay.
the individual groups.
I have a conflict at 11:30.
This should be a
So-
short meeting, though. I think if we could go set it at 10 o'clock if it's a relatively short meeting. I think it literally 30, 40 minutes is the whole group, I think. I don't know, unless you have things that I didn't think about. I think it was mostly,
Yeah, it was,
Well, yeah, I guess the things I'm thinking of is, right now, working under the auspices that we are going to be doing some forgivable loans or grant programs targeted both at businesses and nonprofits. Drafted application for that, but want to make sure that the board is okay and finalize those details before we get those out. So that's kind of the first piece of that. So I'll try and have all the prep work done on that piece of it, just so we can kind of check those and move forward.
Yeah, so we could have it at like 10 o'clock, and it might be an hour-long meeting, or maybe.
Yeah,
not even that
tops.
long.
I mean, I think we'll just go right out of the board meeting into that, and then we can.
Okay,
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to set a committee of the whole on August 4th to discuss CARES Act funding.
I'll second it.
all right, motion made by Commissioner Vetch, seconded by Commissioner Delyden.
What time?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock. Madam Chair, then I guess the next part is, Lee, would you like to see us solidify these advisory groups first and then schedule committee meetings for them? Because, I mean, I guess we never
Well, we
really
did.
formalized
We- well,
these
we-
committees.
I think we
Did we?
voted, I don't know if we voted on it, or we just appointed, but that's a good idea.
We-
Why don't we vote on this one and then talk about that?
Oh, yeah, we didn't vote, oh, sorry.
All right, all right, so, committee of the whole, next Tuesday, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, so, yeah, so we had kind of appointed, but it'd be good to solidify it, and then we can meet on the Wednesday morning.
Because,
Right?
exactly.
Or whatever, so-
And Madam Chair, because I think we have to add them to our advisory groups, or to our committee listings because they're going to be making recommendations back, so we have to formalize these committees
Right.
in some fashion and then appoint people to them, at least in a formal setting. So I guess I'll make a motion that we create a County CARES Act advisory, a committee, and a CARES Act Wright County Economic Development Committee, and a CARES Act Nonprofit Affiliates Committee. So those are the three committees, the three buckets that we're going to create.
So, all five of us, of course, are on the county.
No, the county one, I think it was.
You, I guess.
We didn't create one originally,
Okay.
but looking at the fact that there's a variety of expenses in what we may or may not approve internally, I recommend that it would be best for us to have a couple commissioners look at it and decide what things we want to go after internally for those expenses or not, and then make a recommendation back to the board, just because there's going to be so much, otherwise there's going to be a lot of meetings for all of us going into budgets.
Yeah, right. So, Commissioner Vetch, that sounds like you would be interested in that one? I mean,
I'm okay either way. I just want, looking
Okay.
at it because there's a lot of things just outside of the PPE expenses. There's a lot of other things that we can, do you want to focus it all towards payroll items, or do you want to focus it towards other vaccination things of that nature? There's a lot of things that we have to vet out, so.
yep.
And what's approvable is also in that piece of
Who's
it.
interested in that? I mean, I was,
I'll happily do it, but.
yeah, right.
So
Is that
did we
something,
get a second for your motion yet, or?
well, we didn't
We have
make the
to set,
motion
we have to
yet.
do,
We have
well, I had
to-
a motion to set those three
Well, I was
committees.
thinking that's if we set the meetings, if we approve that, then we can decide who's gonna be on them after that, or?
Do we, as part of forming them, do you guys want to decide who's on them?
Well,
I would think
I think we should. I think we need to make that recommendation to vote on it, and then we can set the meeting. We already have the committee of the whole for all of us to meet on next Tuesday.
So, Madam Chair, previous discussion, not to sidetrack again, but we had talked affiliates, community partners would be Commissioner Hewsom and Delyden, Economic Development was Potter and Vetch, and then we'd have to name some for the,
Charlie should be on county.
Yeah, do you want to be on the county, the oversight of the whole thing with Commissioner Vetch? Does that work for everyone?
You need a second for that motion of purchase?
So,
Motion on the floor.
I'll second that motion. That was to set the
Yep.
committees up.
Yep, for the
Subcommittee,
committees with
subcommittee,
the said
and now-
names.
Who's it, yeah.
and, yep,
And
so,
these will probably be short-lived committees, maybe till the end of the year kind
right,
of thing.
yep,
Yep,
Yeah.
yeah, December
hope.
15th.
I hope so too.
No, Charlie, we drafted, you gotta
Things are
stay,
gonna
you
be
gotta
really
stay
bad,
on.
but it's still longer than that. That
Yeah.
means
Charlie, you can't leave, you gotta keep on.
All right, so the motion is to set these subcommittees. The county's CARE Act overseers essentially would be Commissioner Burrell and Commissioner Vetch. The Economic Development Advisory would be Commissioner Potter and Commissioner Vetch. And the nonprofit / affiliates would be Commissioner Delyden and Hewsom. So that was the motion, and that was made by Commissioner Vetch and seconded by
Commissioner Bill.
Burrell. All right. Any more discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we're having our committee of the whole next Tuesday, so Wednesday morning, we want to set up these subcommittees? Meet?
I think certainly time is of the essence. I know there are a lot of entities and individuals that could use some assistance via these funds. Additionally, we have COVID ongoing and need to respond to that as the public health entity. So sooner we can make decisions and communicate that out to everybody involved, the better.
I guess, looking forward, would we let these affiliates and economic development and the other people interested and involved, would we let them know about these committee meetings? Would they be included, or is this going to be just a subcommittee to kind of lay some ground rules down first?
So, Madam Chair, the envisionment is that this group here is going to be reviewing the applications that have been created, and then at that point, working on the marketing of and who we're targeting to get the applications out to, and then they will be in the reviewing process of the applications. So these affiliates we're going to be reaching out to them through this group and through the county, but them participating in the actual committee meeting, I don't know about that so much, because you could get a lot of people in there trying to argue their case for why they need the funds. It's more about this is a place for us to vet out the applications.
Right, we're not inviting them so they could come in, but I guess, all of our committee meetings essentially are open, so if anyone, wanted to attend to listen, but it wouldn't be, it would be a different kind of a meeting.
Yep.
All right, so what are your wishes for Wednesday morning? I guess you'd need two separate times for your two different
Well,
committees.
Administrator Kelly's doing them. John and Lee, who are kind of the ones working in it, and Greg, they're going to have to be separate times because they're going to need to participate in
Right,
all
all
of
three
them.
of
So,
them.
yep.
So
Well, is everybody available next Wednesday?
I'm open.
I am.
So you're after
Morning.
9, I can make it work.
So if that's the case, why don't we just let them figure out the times and let us know?
Yeah,
9, 10,
I'm fine with that.
Like
yeah.
9, 10, and 11 kind of thing?
Or whatever it works out to be.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
do have a meeting at 9 o'clock,
You do?
one watershed, one plan.
So
So
is
we'll
that
put-
over by 10?
It'll
Or
be
11?
virtual.
Start will
Right.
be later.
So you could do here, yeah, you could do the county
Earlier.
one at
Oh, why
11.
don't you do the county one
Here,
at
out of his office here.
11? Yeah,
All right.
No, he can talk.
okay. So you'll let us know then the times, but we're approved for the committee.
Yes, so we'll post that for the 5th, just so
Yep,
that meets the
from 9
posting
to
date.
noon.
9, 10, and 11, or 9, 10, noon, sort of a thing.
Did we vote on that?
I do not have a note that we did.
Okay, all right. So we're setting those for 9, 10, and 11 next Wednesday,
Or
so,
thereabouts,
Or
depending on
thereabouts.
the timing, how long, if one will take longer than the other.
right, they might be 45 minutes or so, I mean,
What's that?
depending.
Yep.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. So,
Madam Chair, regarding the CARES Act funding, I think you guys all get emails from I-94 Chamber of Commerce. If you do, if you don't, let me know, I'll forward it to you, but look at it. They have something on there on what Rogers and Maple Grove cities are providing for loans and how they're going to kind of do it, so.
Send it to me, I don't get that.
yeah, I don't get it.
You don't get it either? Just me? Okay.
Because you're part of the chamber.
No, I'm not.
How'd you get on it then?
I just assumed we all did,
Oh, no.
because the county is part of the chamber, aren't we?
No,
No?
we don't belong to any chambers.
Huh.
All right, anything else on the CARES Act that anyone has to,
I guess just to communicate, I know I tried to send over documents as they've been developed, and I've gotten them from other folks, kind of on their thoughts on how to do areas where we could allocate funds to, so please review those and have that ready to go for the meeting. I guess is my ask, and if there's anything that, you know, screams out, or you have ideas of programs you'd like to see developed, please let me know so we can get that done prior to the meetings. Right now, it's been primarily I've developed for business grants for, again, businesses and nonprofit entities. I think we will need to discuss some clarity of what's coming out of what bucket, and if some of the programs that we may be assisting individuals with, if we so choose, if that's coming out of the county's bucket, if that's coming out of an economic development bucket, et cetera. So just to plant a few seeds for the discussion.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. So moving on then to our advisory committee, advisory board updates. Commissioner Burrell, would you like to
I
start?
have none.
Okay.
Didn't the fair board meet?
I didn't attend it though. They don't do it virtual, so that.
Oh, they don't?
Too bad. All right.
Madam Chair, last week we met at we had our Central Mississippi Regional Planning Partnership meeting. Recapped our budget and approved our budget for this next, we amended this year's budget for the remainder of this year, and then we also approved our 2021 budget for next year. A lot of it looking at possible next steps forward, and kind of left a lot of it a little bit vague, but we wanted to earmark some funds in there just for the fact that until we come out of the 2030 framework, which will have some better direction on what goals we want to do in January. So we're not quite sure what those are yet. So as we vet it out, we'll be able to more define the budget and amend it at the later part of this year. We also had some discussions about river crossing, and we're going to do a workshop in November with members from the FHA.
FHWA,
FHWA.
Federal Highway Administration.
Yes, so they're going to come out, we're going to do a workshop, and they're going to talk us through the roadmap of what that would look like if we wanted to move forward, and what boxes we would need to check. So that'll be an interesting workshop that we'll have in November-ish. I should say November-ish.
Yeah.
So.
In the superintendent's meeting?
Yep, we had our superintendent's meeting last Tuesday, which was a great meeting as well. I appreciate everybody attending, and we had good discussions. And you know what's interesting from that perspective is, you know, yeah, the federal government's looking at sending money to schools, but at any rate, if they did do that, that money wouldn't get there till like October, which is so late in the game. Like I'm still baffled at the fact that they really looked at the schools as an afterthought in all of this. It kind of, to me, it's like the most pressing thing that they have a defined date that they're going to start, and giving them money after they start really makes it hard to make changes. I don't know. So thank you, everybody. I think we all made a good decision in the direction that we did.
Really appreciated, you know, and we got the letters out, a lot of responses to Mr. John Holler, so thank you for taking care of that part of it, too.
I was just reading this morning that, I think it was in Georgia, when the first school starts next week.
Wow.
Yeah, they start early in the south.
Order starts early also.
Yeah, but next week, it was, and I can't remember where I read it, but next week it was going to be the first school that will open. Classes, in-person classes. So it will be interesting to see almost a month ahead of time from Minnesota what they see. And the governor's going to be also talking this week about the schools and what his plan is.
They do have it in other countries though, where they never did shut down their schools. And
Yep,
Denmark is an example, and they don't seem to be any worse off.
No.
And, you know, just to give perspective for fellow board members, some of the school districts got very, very small amounts of money. Maple Lake Schools from the state for this CARES Act got right around $65,000, $67,000, which they based on the per pupil funding, they're going to get about $130,000 out of the $4.4 million that we allocated to schools. We're giving them twice of what the state gave them. I mean, $67,000 is like, I mean, a drop in the bucket to administer remote schooling.
Well, even if it was a remote schooling,
Yeah,
with additional cleaning purposes and providing all the.
Hotspots, tablets,
Well,
anything
yeah.
else?
Anything else.
You know, not only that, but just the stuff, masks
Personal
and.
protection.
Oh,
Yeah.
just,
Yep.
yeah, they'll use that up in a hell of a hurry
it,
with all those bodies in there.
Anything else?
nope. Thanks.
Safety Committee also met last Wednesday and doing some kind of safety checks and, different departments and seeing how things are going in that regard. So they're, kind of moving forward with all of that. Also, I met with a small subcommittee for discussing our Wright County, safe communities of Wright County. Our executive director is leaving, and so we're looking at hiring a new director for that. So that's, we had a nice discussion. We have kind of a relationship with Alina on that, so they're considered sort of an Alina employee, but we reimburse for that position. Essentially, it's so that person can get the benefits. So it's kind of an interesting relationship, but otherwise, working with some folks on different things, but that's about all I have to add. Commissioner Potter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A couple items here. First off, the bonding bill for this year is dead. They couldn't get let for August. There's no bonding bill for next year, so that's going to put everything on hold. My thought process says that when they go into session next year, one of the first thing out of the gates probably will be the bonding issue, to get that done. They're still far apart on some of the things, and one of the items that was disturbing to me is at the last moment, what was going to be on the bonding bill changed, and that took two of the Wright County or our projects related to us out. Only the dental clinic was still in, and the final one through Ways and Means. And that was not what was agreed upon. That's part of the crust of that going on. The next item is the Trailblazer. They had a pre-bid conference, and now on the 29th here, that's when the bids are due in for that construction for the next expansion of the Trailblazer building out there at North on 25. And hope all goes well. Like, hoping for good bids. We just got to see what's going on that. And we did miss the county fair last week, but there was a good article in the paper about fairs and that, kind of, as people can reminisce about. And the next, the last item here is the library board met last week. It's all virtual, and as the rest of you are all getting zoomed out pretty quick here. And as you had told you before, that the library proposed budget is, we stuck it for the final budget. We had used some investment dollars. We had money in CDs that came due that were, investments were higher than we thought, and some money came in more. And we had almost 8 months of operating reserve, so we're going to use one of those CDs from last year and one from this year to help lower that cost. So our signatory operating revenue budget, the cost of Wright County went down by $16,292. So it's actually less than last year, even though our population went up a little bit. And it appears that we can do this for another year or two, possibly, to hold the line on this one. And hopefully with the legislature and everything, they hold the line on the Minnesota Regional Library funding, because that's the wild card. They always tell us that number after you've already set budgets, and that's what kind of goofs up everything. We're trying to get that number a little quicker and have more stability to it, because it's been fluctuating up and down. So the library board, again, they run quite lean, less than 20-some% less than the state average for our system, and we're even making it better now. And with our growth going on in Wright County, anticipate in the future that we will have, instead of 28.9% of the budget, we will be growing because of the population and the tax capacity increase that we're seeing more so than our fellow counties out there.
Yep.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Delyden.
Yeah, the parks met actually on the 13th, which I didn't talk about last week just because of timing. On the 13th, and we actually met out at Schroeder Park out in out in the windy day that was, which was challenging. But it was nice to get out in our parks to have our meeting. We just talked about where things were at in all the different parks. Some of the problems that were, that occurred out at Collinwood with last year's weather and getting a late start on the addition out there. And where things were at Bertram Lake and how that thing is moving along, and soil conditions out there are much better and really hasn't stopped anything from moving forward out there. And parks have really been busy.
It's kind of sandy soil, isn't it?
Yeah. The parks have been busy. In fact, Bertram, we're gonna have to expand some parking on the south end because it's becoming overcrowded for parking down there, so.
That is a very true statement. I guess because I go there quite frequently with my kids, but I also want to say that that paving job that they did, and I am so glad that the board agreed to pave that entrance and that the city did their portion as well. It is so nice, especially with that whole Briarwood all the way in being redone. It
mean-
looks great out there.
And the
You
turn
know,
lanes are all down there.
gravel is a mess. If you get gravel all over the place, it's,
Yeah, so, yeah, it's turning out to be really nice out there. And then we also discussed the budget and coming projects for next year and stuff like that. And the Wellness Committee met on 21st. They talked about their budget, and they're going to actually ask for some reimbursement for the money they spent on these whole nifty little neck warmers.
is that from the Wellness Committee?
This is from the Wellness Committee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Does
and
it
I
say
see,
that Wellness Committee
yeah,
on
see
it?
it, yeah, you have
Have
to pull
it.
it up so you can read it.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's better. It's much better.
Okay.
And now you messed
Hopefully that can be seen out on the,
And now you messed his hair up.
you know, what's really nice too is that you can actually see through the thing.
Yeah.
So you can breathe and see.
Can't use that word.
So,
Okay.
So anyway, they talked about that sort of stuff. And then they had 153 individuals that were involved in the summer virtual poker walk, 187 that were involved in the Path to Positivity, with 127 successfully completing it. They're working on the Mindful Matters bingo, and that's coming up August 5th. And then a Make a Move to Health Partners Step Challenge will be beginning of, or the middle to the end of August. Will begin the middle of end of August. And one of the things that Health Partners, with their funding they have left over, has talked about, and I don't know if it's been approached to you yet, Coordinator Kelly, they're looking at.
What, who?
Health Partners?
Administrator
No,
Kelly?
the other word.
Administrator
Oh,
Kelly.
Administrator.
Kelly.
I'm not used to it yet. Abe does become so before C, you'd think I would remember. Anyway, they're looking at one of the, for in the lunchroom, one of those, what do you call them? Kind of where you can walk and do your work at the same time with a computer or read a book or.
Virtual reality stuff.
No, it's just, it's.
A walking meeting, kind of a walking meeting?
No, just,
Virtual treadmill?
yeah. Well, but it's not a virtual treadmill, it's just a treadmill that you can do your work with, but it's an actual physical
You can
treadmill.
walk, yeah. And actually, activity does stimulate your mental abilities, you know.
So
I
they're
think-
looking at putting that in the lunchroom. So, I'm assuming somebody will be approaching to make sure that that's all okay with the county. But that's something that Health Partners are looking at doing in the lunchroom. So I think it's kind of neat. I don't think there's a risk to the county at all, but, well, there's always a risk.
There you go. It's a risk management assessment.
We'll ask the fun police.
And Tim was in on that meeting, so
Was he in on it or was not?
he was.
Okay.
Even
Okay.
at the end.
Good.
And then I have one comment I want to make, and I'm going to read it. It was out, my son sent this to me, and I'm just real concerned. About somebody stating that the county employees need to have a safe and healthy work environment. And I'm trying to figure out if we don't have that currently happening, and if that's really the case, the board needs to be aware of it. I think we've done an exceptional job, with the highway and providing them all their protection equipment and the sheriff's office and all that. And the face masks to all the employees, so, and this is somebody that's running for, a seat for one of the commissioners, so I'm just, if our employees do not feel safe, I would wish that they would contact us
They have to, if they,
to let us know.
What it is.
Otherwise, it's just, hate use the term, fake news. I mean, it really concerns me that this is out there, that people are saying we're not protecting our employees.
yeah, particularly, I mean, we do have a safety committee that just looks at that kind of thing, but we also have policies in place to
Yep.
protect our employees from all kinds of,
And we're all in unprecedented times right now, but anyway,
right,
if that's out there, if employee feels that what the county's requiring them is not safe, or they're, for whatever the reason is, please contact me so we can get it addressed, because
yep,
it
thank you.
concerns me.
Yep, thank
So,
you, bringing that up.
That's fine. And then one quick question, and you're probably going to address it.
Okay.
Idea for when the budget talks are going to start talking, you're probably going to be talking that about.
Sure.
So I'm done.
All right, Mr. Kelly.
I guess going back to the previous discussion too, I know we've tried to be proactive in providing mitigation strategies and providing equipment and things to county employees as we move forward in this unprecedented COVID time. So I'm not sure what specific issue has been raised by that individual, but I feel we've done a good job in trying to adhere with the orders and put a good example for the county. So moving forward on budgets, that's a nice segue you gave me there, as that is taking a lot of the brain power right now for a lot of staff. The workbooks are planned to be back this Friday. Looking to start the budget meetings the week of the 17th of August. So working on developing a schedule for that. You will see. I'm not aware of any conflicts within commissioner schedules at this time in that week of the 17th and the following 24th. If possible, it'd be great to wrap up prior to September, but sometimes we need to schedule additional meetings. So that's kind of the thought there. Hoping to have budget books in your hands as soon as we can, but this year is definitely interesting. A lot of discussions have been spurred by the strategic planning, and I've had a lot of discussions with departments on how our budgets interact, how the staff interact, and how we may look at that differently going forward. So trying to do our best to put together a comprehensive picture to present to you board as part of the budget. So that's that. Did have the opportunity to go out to the new administrative building and tour construction progress on that. Look at the different spaces. So that was nice to see the progress that's being made there and walk through the layouts. A lot of CARES things coming up, trying to stay up and close to that as things develop. So that's a big piece of what's taking time now. So with that, I think that's what I have at this time.
All right. Well, if there is nothing else to come before the board, we are adjourned at 9:59. Thanks, everybody.